Gents, while I've got you here, Saru are making a big announcement tomorrow at the Cape Town Stadium. A little birdie told me via a very reliable source that it is the announcement that the South African Sevens is being moved from PE to Cape Town. Rob, you've just written a very interesting article about this movement of rugby to the Cape Town Stadium. What do you think we're in store for?
I think your little birdie may be sort of tweeting correctly. We don't know yet. It's not sort of official. We wait for that announcement. But they did describe it as a major announcement. So it'll be a little bit disappointing if the press conference then comes and all we learn is that there's going to be some World 15 once-off game at the stadium or something like that, which is possible, I suppose. What I did today was simply paint the sort of three possible scenarios. First one of which is Sevens. We all know, and I've written several times in recent months, that there is restlessness about the Sevens being in Port Elizabeth, being seen as a little bit sort of out of the way, especially in terms of headline sponsors of the World 7 Series like Emirates Airline, who fly directly to Cape Town. The move is sort of towards the Sevens going to sort of bigger centres, cashing in on the sort of the potential that the bigger centres obviously offer over smaller ones. So it kind of makes sense for a bit of a sort of a homecoming perhaps to Cape Town and potentially then to Cape Town Stadium, because the city of Cape Town would treat that as manna from heaven. I mean, they need any excuse they can get to be able to fill that stadium, and I think they would get good numbers in lovely sort of summer conditions in Cape Town, lots of tourists around.
Yeah.
So if the announcement is going to be about Sevens making the switch, it won't surprise me too much, and I think you may be correct in your in what you've heard.
And given the fact that Cape Town Mayor Patricia de Lille is going to be there, Rob, we were talking earlier off air about what Rob's just mentioned, how on the World Series, Sevens is sort of making this move to the bigger, more glamorous cities. I mean, they've announced Vancouver for Canada, Paris in France. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. It seems that way. I mean, Emirates are the official airline, and they obviously fly to Cape Town and the bigger destinations rather than George or PE. So they're looking to change up a few things. We've seen the Australian legs moving from the Gold Coast to Sydney. Got Vancouver in. Next year they're going to be 10 venues. This year there were only 9, so they're looking to grow as well. But this is all sort of around the 2016 Rio Olympics, where the Sevens will be featured. So they're looking to grow the game, expand it to new parts of the world. You know, it's fantastic for Sevens rugby. South Africa obviously do really well through the Blitzbokke. It'd be great to have it at the Cape Town Stadium, even though we have to admit that it isn't confirmed yet. But it seems like we'll know for sure on Friday morning. But PE will obviously be a bit upset. They've also got a Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, which is a fantastic facility. The numbers there have certainly grown in the last couple of years. There just seem to be some stadiums around the world that are packed out no matter who plays and no matter who reaches the final. You think of Las Vegas and certainly Twickenham in England. You get over 100,000 people over the 2 days.
Dubai also.
Dubai, Hong Kong as well. Then there are a couple of smaller ones that do struggle to draw the crowds. Hopefully Cape Town won't be a stadium like that, even though it will be difficult to believe that it will be sold out for both days. It's a long day of rugby from I think 8 and they finish late at night, to expect people to go for both days. But let's see if that is in fact the announcement. Like Rob said, it might just be the case that we've got a World 15 match at the Cape Town Stadium. But yeah, let's see.
Finally, Rob, there has been this ongoing push for the Western Province Rugby Union, or Western Province Rugby, to move to the Cape Town Stadium, which has been met with much resistance from the Western Province Rugby Union.
Yeah.
Do you think that is going to change any time in the future, if this is the case, with the Sevens moving there?
Look, that was a supposed final announcement by Western Province about, we are not moving. But in the game of politics, there's, things can change from one day to another. And let's face it, in many ways, this is a sort of a political decision in some sort of regard.
Because, logistically, in terms of, crowd attendance, everything, it just makes sense.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a belief that SARU are actually quite keen on the move, more so than Western Province. In other words, that SARU would like one of its big affiliates, Western Province, to actually make the switch. That's the impression I get from some of the chats I've had to some of the senior sort of SARU personnel over the last couple of years. And SARU have sometimes been sort of pushing hard to have sort of, even if it's just once-off events, featuring rugby at Cape Town Stadium as opposed to Newlands. It hasn't always transpired because in the end Western Province have sort of exerted their rightful regional clout, if you like, and said, look, Newlands is our home, and this is where we want to play the Wallabies in XYZ Test match or whatever. So not cut and dried, but I am getting the feeling that the umbrella body, SARU, is quite keen on Cape Town Stadium. So that's also not a done deal. I wouldn't be surprised if there is at some stage down the line an about turn also, and that Western Province are sort of, shall we say, perhaps enticed back into negotiations, even if not necessarily convinced straight away to actually make the move. But I suspect that at some stage the debate will reopen.